Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar titled Cybersecurity, What Every Leader Must Know, brought to you by IT News Africa and SHELT. Thank you so much for taking time to attend this webinar. You can expect great insights from our lineup of speakers from SHELT and Musoni Microfinance Kenya. Today, you will find out about the constant threats enterprises face and what business leaders need to know about building winning cybersecurity strategies. And my sincere wish is that you enjoy today's session thoroughly and go away with actionable insights that will make an immediate impact on your business. Just a few housekeeping rules. Please note that the session is being recorded and we will share the recording and session documentation after the webinar. Kindly post all questions in the Q&A widget below your screen. The speakers will respond to a few questions towards the end of the event. So let's get right into it. Our first speaker for today is Fahim Ali, Chief Risk Officer at Musoni Microfinance Limited in Kenya. He is also an expert on digital transformation, financial inclusion, risk compliance, and internal control. And the title of his keynote is Key Considerations for Cybersecurity in the New Normal. Over to you, Fahim. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. And I don't know, is there any good evening also somewhere? It's my pleasure connecting with all of you. Allow me to share my screen so that we can flow with the discussion. Great. So key consideration for the cybersecurity in the new normal. And so this is the small slide which I've just prepared. So according to the cybersecurity report, by 2025, cyber crimes will cost around 10 trillion annually, and potentially, triggering that greatest, transfers or the threats to the companies, which is, also the economic wealth threat in the history. This data point also is the grave concern for the government, for the businesses, for the individuals who, having this hard times keeping up the cybersecurity risk management, keeping up all the policies, keeping up all the, new areas, hiring the experts also. New budgets are also considered, and this landscape cybersecurity risk continues to evolve. We today will also update you that, as a leader or as an expert or as a practitioner, what exactly, you should do, or what are the key threats we should, also see. So I have listed few, threats here. Yeah, sorry, I've not introduced myself. So yeah, as the team said, that I'm the expert in digital transformation. I worked in Central Asia, Asia Pacific, and also in African countries, more specifically in the banking institution or the financial institutions, to bringing the inclusive finance, in all the domain. I also give, the trainings and also coaching and the post workshops also for this deployment of the projects. Yeah, so the key consideration on the cybersecurity new normal is, number one, is actually the phishing, which gets more sophisticated. And if you see the phishing, which is right now getting more sophisticated, more of the digital messages, were circulated, lured to the people and following the link to install the malware and expose sensitive information. We think phishing ends there. More of the netizens are actually aware of the consequences of the email phishing, and they think that that's, that's it. But nowadays, phishing is actually also changed. It's also, the hackers are also aware that, how the companies are going on. And nowadays, they're also doing the machine learning using the craft and distributed, the message to continue phishing campaign. The second one is actually on the ransomware strategies. According to the report, 20% of the any countries or any country citizens are being attacked through the ransomware attack every year. These attacks actually cost the victims billions of dollars, and hackers actually hijack the cloud database. In exchange of that, they give some kind of receipt or something that you have to pay in this way. There's no guarantee that actually what we need to do and how we need to fix that main problem. However, the strategies on this ransomware is actually the key one. What are your key strategies on the cybersecurity, building this ransomware, what to do, how to do, what to follow? That is actually the key main area. And in the results, the company left with lots of hiring of the people, and also trying to rebuild the strategies on this particular area. The third one is actually the cybersecurity risk in all industries. I mean, all industries, even if it is a health, even if it is a enterprise, even if it is a supply chain, even if it is a financial industry, even if it is an education industry, cybersecurity risk poses in all industry. The challenges which professionals are facing, the practitioners are facing, that it is moving, very quickly, and we do not have also very good experts to handle, these key areas. The threats are actually moving, and actually the threats are also, bringing the records or the data in the security. There's also a data of, data protection acts or, policies or a law or a regulatory, which is also trying to build, on the cybersecurity risk, more so protecting the data of, the general, population, and also the customers of the company. So cybersecurity actually poses a great risk in all industry. What we need to do in the cybersecurity risk, definitely you need to build out that what are the key areas, what are your strategies, what are your controls, what are your impact, what will be your probability, how you are doing it, and also that how you will be building on that one. The SEA, social engineering attacks, is actually the new one, and actually the new type of malicious activities are being used to to trick the users. These techniques has become the smarter, especially during the remote working. When employees connect from the home, and then they can use the access of the company information without being monitored, remotely by the IT security people. So these attacks are now common, more so actually in African countries or in Asian countries also. These attacks are actually now growing, and most of the technical people also don't know what to do on this social engineering attacks. The third one is the mobile security threat. This is now, very common. How you can stop someone, to using your cloud services, because cloud services you can use now from any device. You can even connect from your tablet, from your phone, from your personal laptop, without, how you can bring it. And again, we do not have, most of the institutions do not have the BOID, like bringing your own devices kind of policies. What to be done, what firewalls or what security need to be done. So mobile security threats, end-to-end security, are actually the key risk which is posing. And more so actually the phishing, network threats, like free Wi-Fi people use, or maybe the physical threats, no biometric encryptions or encryption systems, or then, the other securities which, poses. The app-based security, the mobile security is the one which is now companies facing. As much as we are going digital, definitely, this is also posing a great risk to us. The second and the second last one is the cloud security vulnerabilities. And the cloud security vulnerabilities right now, most of the institutions, their data or their services or their products or their the new norm of the digital is all on cloud. And are they aware of how the cloud security will work, how the cloud security need to be done, being exchanged to the organization and the cloud server? That is actually the key one for all the ones. So untrustworthy third parties, the one which we don't know how the third parties will work, or the free softwares, unlicensed softwares, or the third party risk in that cloud security is actually the key consideration for the cybersecurity in the new normal. The last and the least is actually the remote working cybersecurity threats. Yes, the remote working is actually the one which is posing a great risk, because as I said, bringing your own device policies are not there. The increasing productivity which we need from the people, sensitive data which is being used at the people's machine, that is again how to handle that one is the key consideration the people or for the leader, in this cyber crime. Privacy network, privacy, hacking, and although exploiting, the overall way. That is actually the key one for the institution to run on that one. Allow me to also run one small video that how this this cybersecurity is also posing, and courtesy to our the video provider. Please see. Yeah, so this is actually the one which was a small video, and I want to give the chance to see also that how this is working. I will be available definitely for the next panel discussions also, and any the questions which I can answer. Meanwhile, definitely you can follow also on my social media, and then we can also keep sharing the good points. Thank you, and back to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Fahim, for that insightful presentation. And we're going to go right through to the next presentation by Bassam Tuma, who is the Business Development Director at SHELT. Bassam is an experienced executive in the domain of cybersecurity with strong focus on emerging markets. He has previously led the business development team at Telecel Group in Africa, bringing in the latest technology trends to enterprise customers and telecom partners. Over to you, Bassam.
Thank you, Abe. Welcome, everyone. Happy to meet you all. So, and thanks, Mr. Fahim, for these insights. Really, I just want to, give you a small overview about SHELT as a cybersecurity service partner. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So SHELT, as the title says, and our motto, we're a really focused cybersecurity company servicing our customers that we call partner across different regions. And in today's session, we want to little bit highlight our perspective in terms of how we are able to support you in uncovering and managing and mitigating cybersecurity risks that Mr. Fahim clearly shed the light on. So we're a European company that has been active for many years in the domain of cybersecurity. From leading partners, we offer technical advisory services, security operations center services with global reach and specialists. So our reach is in the EMEA region. We also extend into the Asia Pacific with global projects in Australia, and so this is to give you the better understanding about our view and how we see cybersecurity as a global practice rather than, of course, having it with the local content. So we have focus on East Africa as well, with offices in Kenya and also working in East Africa. We understand that the main cybersecurity challenges that most of the companies are facing is the nature of the evolving threat landscape. So the threats are also evolving in unprecedented times, especially after the pandemic and during the pandemic. And Mr. Fahim has shed the light about how these threats are becoming more intelligent because of the intelligence of the attacks. So these are two main challenges of cybersecurity, but also you have the expertise and the know-how, the practical know-how that is really very much looked for across the globe. So also you have this lack or this shortage of skill set in cybersecurity to really fight the more intelligent cyber crimes and cyber criminal activities. So with SHELT, we are providing mainly managed security services on 24/7 to help you identify the threats, protect your environment, detect any type of incident, respond efficiently, and recover your organization from potential security breach. Our point of view is always to start with a strategy. What is your strategy and how to enhance the cybersecurity threat strategy to help you prioritize your investment, to enable more the mobility and enhance productivity, especially with the times of pre and post-COVID, where mobility has taken its toll, and more companies are seeing, different work places being changed, and that causes risk, huge risk and impact on the cybersecurity organization or operation, internal operation. How we establish trusted environment. We have talked a little bit about digital transformation, and with digital transformation, you need to build a trusted environment between your across your supply chain, between suppliers to delivering the digital service to your end customers to guarantee your reputation, secure your employees and customer data. We talked a little bit about the new type of phishing and social engineering that goes not for your employees out only, but also that we see it more and more going after your end customers, which is even more critical, and how to save time troubleshooting the service issue. So basically, the cybersecurity strategy is to make you more safe and more resilient to cyber threats, ensure the provision of vital services, adopt a cybersecurity culture, because cybersecurity is the responsibility of all in the organization and not only the cybersecurity department headed by the responsible for this practice, and having the knowledge, skills, and cutting capabilities and practical capabilities, which is very key for an efficient cybersecurity mature organization. We see a little bit 3 levels of organization across, especially in Africa, classified by maturity, where at level 0, we have the unprepared organization that have a lack of people and technical know-how and processes, and they have adopted some technologies. We call them reactive technology with like antiviruses, basic firewalling. So these are unprepared to face the current threat landscape. And sometimes, they are hit by a big or important cyber attack, and they fail to recover from it. And definitely, we see that these companies also lack the internal awareness, and employees do not have the basic cybersecurity awareness that is needed nowadays. The level 1, when you increase in maturity, you reach a more reactive approach. Let's say the majority of organizations, I'm going to say more than what we see, are reactive in terms of building an efficient cybersecurity strategy. So they have the people, they have some processes in place, they have implemented technologies and security tools, but they lack visibility. And these security tools are reactive. So they react to an incident, and they will try to, at best, make sure that the impact is contained. So these security tools are siloed. There is no risk. We talked about risk assessment, which is key. And now any organization needs to include cybersecurity risk in their risk register. So there is no risk quantification. There is some awareness training, but it's done irregularly without clear, programs set. They have a cybersecurity person in charge, but he doesn't have, full ownership when it comes to building projects. The more mature organizations are the most proactive ones. So instead of waiting for an attack to happen and then defend the organization, on the contrary, proactively, they go and hunt for the threat before it causes any impact or before it becomes an incident. So these organizations have the right people, processes in place. The security is aligned with the needs of the business, which is very important. We have a risk-based approach when it comes to cybersecurity with a defense in-depth methodology. Tools are implemented and they are correlated, and we have uniform visibility across the internal and external digital space. We want to talk a little bit more on the external digital space, because more and more with the digital transformation, you will have to uncover and reach out to your customers through digital means. So from a reactive components, the cybersecurity have evolved into a more proactive one, where you have different services working together with different components and technologies to help you address this evolved threat landscape. We talked a little bit before about the different threats, and this is just a brief on the latest threats identified and cybercrime identified, especially in Africa, where the top 5, as listed by the Interpol, are online scams, including phishing and social engineering attacks, digital extortion, business email compromise, ransomwares, and botnets. And actually, in Kenya specifically, we personally have investigated more than one incident that involves botnet attack. And after the botnet attack, there were ransomware being dropped and extorting the company. So other than these challenges, we see that most business leaders and cybersecurity leaders have cybersecurity concern with turnover of employees. You need to retain people, you need to implement robust training programs and make sure that you have the right team with you. And this is really one of the scariest things that most organizations, because employee turnover is very high when it comes to cybersecurity, and they don't really stay let's say at foot. We also see that nowadays the threat landscape has extended from an internal environment to a more external environment, especially when providing digital service. So we see a lot of external threats with exposed credentials, leaked sensitive data, identity theft, and exposed digital footprint, and malicious activities on the dark web. So dark web is still obscure for most of these organizations. At SHELT, we understand the hacker mindset, and we understand how the hacker works, and therefore we build defensive mechanism and proactive cybersecurity service to apply what we call the kill switch on this kill chain in front of you, from identification of the context to how they launch their scan, they go on to execute their exploitation, maintaining access, and trying to evade while maintaining control within the environment. So we provide many services, from managed security services, MDR services, brand and VIP protection to fight against the latest social engineering attacks, cloud content security platforms, simulation and training. We provide advanced technical services ranging from penetration testing to source code review to advisory service, training and awareness using the latest tools available. Our main advantage is that we really leverage on your existing technology. So we don't always, start by implementing new technology if you already have, the base, the tools implemented. We work with them. We have this global experience. All our services are CapEx free, so it's subscription based. They are scalable, so you can grow with the environment while offering 24 managed security services. I will also invite you to download our free copy of our ebook written by our CEO. It's a very quick 5-minute read, but it comes in handy with different tips about what every business leaders need to know when it comes to cybersecurity. Thank you very much for your time and for listening, and feel free to ask any questions before we step into the panel discussion. Thank you, Mr. Abe. Thank you.
Thank you, Bassam. And that was a great presentation. But now we're going to go into a discussion, a panel discussion. And the title of this panel is Building a Cyber Resilient Organization. And we're going to have Fahim Ali again, as well as Bassam joining this discussion. So I'm going to run the discussion, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and give us your thoughts and your insights into some of these questions. So the first question is for you, Bassam. What major changes have you seen on the cybersecurity front in the last few years?
Thanks. A good question. As I mentioned earlier, we are seeing more and more the type of phishing attacks becoming, the most prevalent, and social engineering coupled with social engineering. But nowadays, the hackers are not going after the organization, but more dangerously, they're going after their customers and their suppliers. So we see a lot of social engineering attacks. We see a lot of scamming and identity thefts that are really, addressed. I'm not going to say poorly, but rather reactively by organization. There are ways to address it proactively. So this is one of the major components when it comes to enhancing, or let's say maintaining, the brand reputation, and making sure that digital transformation, our services that are going digitally, are trusted enough and successful. So that's my initial, let's say, feedback maybe.
No, thank you very much. Fahim, do you have any thoughts on the changes? Have you seen any changes in cyber attacks in recent years?
Yeah, I think most of the points Bassam have already covered. I will cover maybe one or two points on the same note. I think the discipline in the modern data privacy engineering is the key, because everything what the attackers actually want to do is to get your the data. And the institutions sometimes, or the people in the institutions, they do not have kind of clear frameworks or data classifications, or the policies or procedures that how the data privacy or protections need to work, because that is actually the key which connects with the entire ecosystems. And the several technical disciplines which involve around the data privacy today is ranking the user's experience designer or technical program managers, backend developers, end-to-end security, and again, as Bassam also said, that lots of the areas on the SCE attacks, and also the areas of the remote working, ransomwares, and all that. So this is actually involving in all the areas. So as much as the digital which we are doing, definitely we need to see also that how the major changes can affect the cybersecurity front in the last few years.
So Bassam, back to you. Why are these changes happening in your opinion? And what has happened in the cyber threat landscape that has made cyber threats rise so quickly in the past few years?
Yeah, definitely what accelerated digitalization is the pandemic. And from service delivery to work environments. So you have the now extended networks, we call them the extended more and more networks, where people are working from different remote areas, that opened up new risks, new cybersecurity risks. And this is in one hand. And the second hand, we have also more and more the cloud adoption. Now, most of the organization, if not all, have some kind of cloud integration. So these extended application in hybrid model between the local data centers and the cloud also increased the cybersecurity risks, and hackers or cyber criminals are finding ways to infiltrate within these extended networks. So definitely the pandemic has accelerated these threats, and also the digitalization of the service and the service delivery mechanisms across. So now any company who wants to really be from, or let's say maintain its customer base, would like to definitely offer most of the services through some kind of a digital form. So basically, these what constitutes basically what has accelerated, the threats in currently.
Thank you, Bassam. And now back to you, Fahim. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing organizations when it comes to cybersecurity?
Yeah, first I want to also continue what Bassam said, that the changes or the transformation. Yes. So my point here is that you fight or flight. That's the only 2 points you have. Change is always not easy, and even though we all agree that it is a part of the life, and many of us perceive this as a lion size. Lion size actually a threat that triggers our fight or flight reaction. The digital age is not just about transforming technologies, digital transformation, or bringing technology in the company. No. It is also about transforming mindsets. It's also transforming how you perceive. It's also transforming your cyber areas. It's also transforming that how you will go in the new area with controlling few or some of the areas which you will be more in the digital age. So I agree with Bassam, that you have to change, but change is always good. Coming back to your question again, yes, the biggest challenge which is then right now the industry is facing, and especially the areas of the information security and all that, it's more of ransomware attacks. It's increasing a lot. Cloud attacks, because as much as we are going in the cloud services, these are the one which people are facing a lot. Software vulnerabilities is also right now, the way people actually see that, the softwares are increasing. People need new softwares. People need, the softwares which, can, the company users also need the new softwares, which is, give the productivity for their areas. The one also which is key is also the insider attack. Don't forget, insider attack is actually the key one, and it's very, very dangerous. The insider attacks actually can harm you more with all the other areas. And yes, this data breach to the remote workers is also increasing, which is the biggest challenge is also right now the industry people are facing. And BOID threats also, like bringing your own device, mobile connections, missing cyber security patches, using the softwares which are not licensed and all that. And then again, not reviewing your network, because you never know. Simple thing I just tell you. Ask yourself in your company when your last Wi-Fi password was changed. You're in your company Wi-Fi password was changed, or in your branch, or in your network, or in your office. When the last Wi-Fi password was changed, when the network was refreshed, or when the network health check was done. These are the key simple questions which actually connects the biggest challenges to the cybersecurity or the information security. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahim. But now I'd like to go to Bassam again, and then Bassam, what is the biggest misconception when it comes to cybersecurity and risk management?
Yeah, one of the areas which is becoming less, because of the awareness of companies and people like Mr. Fahim are expressing. So it's not only about technology, because most of the companies would say that if they integrate technology, let's say they put the next generation firewall with some advanced endpoint protection and have that in place, then they are secure. It's not only about that, because as Mr. Fahim said, one of the weakest links are internal threats. And sometimes it's internal threats due to unawareness of employees and the non-vigilance of employees. So I see that the technical abilities of the internal team or the extended team through managed service is key, in addition to definitely technologies being implemented, but also more and more having this awareness and changing the mindset to adopt this digital transformation era and embrace it. So you have to have the right people with the right skill set in place to make sure that you have the right mindset to drive the transformation within the within the organization when it comes especially to cybersecurity practices. So yes.
Thank you. And now that I have you in front of me, what cybersecurity trends have emerged during the COVID pandemic, in your opinion?
You broke a little bit.
No, I said the question is, what cybersecurity trends have emerged during the COVID pandemic?
I mean, definitely, when it comes to this extended network and working from home, in the norm, usually people who or employees or workers who wanted to connect to and access resources, especially remotely, need to have like some kind of secure communication. But this wasn't really feasible, especially with everyone working from home. So then companies adopted a new ways with, we're talking more and more about zero trust kind of deployments where you have to trust, but you have to verify, so two-factor authentications and access management, prioritization of access, and especially that also if you have, as an organization, cloud services, and you want to centralize different connectivity from the main data center to the cloud, it will causes a lot of bandwidth congestion. So new adoption of connecting to the cloud securely from different work areas has emerged lately. So to really transform the different networks, security adoption. So cybersecurity threats, we saw a lot of what we call mimicking COVID-19 campaigns. So we saw a lot of, let's say, cyber criminals mimicking the Red Cross campaigns and trying to attack or deceive users and customers and the overall population by in the purpose of taking some information, privacy information, financial information, and so forth. So we saw a lot also of what we call password stuffing. So a lot of passwords has been leaked, and we read about them everywhere on the dark web being traded. And these passwords are being used as what we call password stuffing mechanism. So they through bots and scripts, they launch over multiple platforms, trying to use the same password or a combination of the password, like kind of a dictionary attacks, to try to hijack an account. We saw a lot of news around it. Lately, whatever Facebook has been faced by, or LinkedIn, etc. So a lot of password stuffing happened during this pandemic, but definitely, again, the risks are incrementally increasing, and the threat landscape is dynamically changing, and you need to be proactive in making sure that you go and hunt for the threats before the threats come. We're talking about the Log4j incident, for example, recently. So before that, there was the famous SolarWinds case. So having the threat intelligence about these threats and making sure that you are protected even before the incident comes to you is critical. So understanding your vulnerabilities, continuously doing vulnerability assessment, and not waiting for the penetration test phase that is done once a year, but having a rigorously health checks on the different vulnerabilities is key to making sure that you are protected against potential incidents. Yes.
Thank you, Bassam. And the theme of this webinar is what every leader should know, basically, about cybersecurity. So Fahim, speaking to leaders, what would be the first place to start when it comes to keeping your organization safe?
Thank you, Abhi. So before your question, there's a very good question on the chat.
Okay.
If you want, I can answer that one. Because it looks like a very burning issue. So
what we would like to do is to take some of the go through those questions at the end of the session.
No problem.
Yes.
No problem. Great. So coming back to your questions, that speaking to the leaders, what would be the first place that which coming in their minds to be safe? Encrypted and the data backups. That is actually the key one. The second thing is that which people is not doing is the investment in the cybersecurity. Investment in the cybersecurity with the terms of hiring the people like Basham or their team members, because that's the key one. Because you may be not having all the expertise in your in your organization. Maybe you do not have all the people to handle everything. You might have few people which is maybe more conversant with the network security or software security. But what about the other security? What about the machine learning, AI? What about the bringing the policy on the BOID? What about the policy bringing on the cloud securities? So you really need to do the budget, investment on that one. And again, also bringing the cybersecurity insurance, because, as much as you are going, you need to put the insurance. You do the insurance of your assets. Then cybersecurity insurance is also kind of the key, which you need to do. Then also bringing the anti-malware or softwares, firewall softwares, and don't please go on the cheap one, because that's that will actually harm you ultimately. And choose the right technology, because choosing the right technology is actually the one which can take you, further. Rather than choosing the cheapest one, you will not go far, and it will give you challenges. Remember, the person who is giving you the technology, the third-party provider or the vendor, or the person who is deploying all the softwares or the technology for you, they are not in the front of your customers or your services. You are actually the one. Your brand is actually the key for your customers. So please be very keen on this area, and keep your software and the hardwares with the best practices. And best practices word is actually so many things. So I don't want to, right now conclude. But again, there are so many areas on the software and hardware situations where you need to be very, very key. And once you bring, the devices, once you give the devices, once you give the network, to your employees, once you add so many things in your technology, how, to secure. And the best practice is actually the one which can, handle. And go with the step by step. It's not like you have to do everything today. You cannot do, actually. It's not possible. So go step by step, and then, implement these things. But the key point is take the step. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we take questions from the Q&A box, Bassam, how do you think SHELT can help organizations in being safe?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's a broad question. I can start, but it will take me some time to answer. But clearly, when one of our key, advantages, that's going to put it this way, is that we are more agnostic to technology vendors. And as clearly mentioned by Mr. Fahim, the right technology needs to be in place. So we will try first and foremost, to take advantage of what's already made available within an organization and enhance it in a way to render it more proactive. So our approach is to always start with a strategy, with the right strategy in place, clear from start to end, doing gap assessments, understanding the current situation, and putting a target program to reach. So, of course, investments are needed. Investments can be prioritized, can be made, can be planified in a way that is clearly aligned with the business needs. And that's another advantage. So we try to always align the business needs and mapping it to the service. But what we promote and we evangelize is to always take the proactivity approach rather than to wait and maintain still when being hit by a cyber attack and see how you can react to it. So that's the key 3 points, key advantages of SHELT: proactivity in nature, aligning business strategy with cybersecurity strategy, and making use of the existing investment done and enhancing on it, of course, by adding other layers or stacks, technology stacks to the mix, and creating this uniform visibility across all your digital service offerings. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bassam. Now, we've got two questions in the Q&A widget, and I'd like to start with the first one, which is about appointing a cybersecurity supplier or insourcing it. So the question reads, what cybersecurity strategy should be in place for a medium to large organization? Should it be fully outsourced or managed internally, or should they opt for a hybrid solution? What are your thoughts, Fahim?
Yeah, I think some of them are already answered on this one by Basham, also that how we can go with that particular medium and large organization. But let me try to answer also. First of all, you see, we really need to see what is the key work which we are doing in our organization, and then also what is the organization strategy in terms of going more of a digital or a business strategy or a strategy of growth. From there, you need to draw the roadmap for the success, because the cybersecurity team or the risk team or the team who are handling these control issues is not to stop anyone, is to grow the company. Definitely, once the company will grow, it's a success for everyone. So what really we need to do is to first to see what are the key success steps or key strategies which will be changes. Then pinpoint what are the changes which we are doing, and what are the changes for the success which the company is about to do. From there, definitely we need to find out what are the steps or the strategy we need to do. Once you draw the roadmap, then you see the internal capacity. What is your capacity to help the institution, and what is your not, you are not able to do that one, then you budget for the external resources, budget for the softwares, budget for the like threat intelligence softwares, budget for the fraudulent softwares, budget for the real-time softwares, budget for the people who actually can help you with like a Basham kind of person, who can help you to identify what are the threats you can face, or what are the key areas which you need to consider. Budget for the person who can actually build your staff capacity, because that is actually the key. Because even before any cybersecurity, the awareness, the overall understanding is the key. Because if you don't understand that one, if your employee don't understand, and then how you can you can go. I was conducting one session with the general employees in education sector. All were actually the lecturers, or they were the very good kind of our teachers, And when I told them that this HTTPS, they were not even aware what is this HTTPS. The basic things sometimes the people are not even aware. Password, as Basham said, sometimes people don't know even how to change the password security, password policies and all that. Sometimes people just do the password like Fahim 123, the name and 123. Or the common password. So definitely first you need to draw the roadmap internally in your organization, that what are the key areas which you really need to go for the success for the institution. Then draw it like what are the medium term priorities, large term the longer term priorities, the quick one which is the the immediate priorities, and then work on that one. So it depends on the industry to industry, but the key point here is you really need to draw the roadmap first. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go to Bassam. Bassam, would you like to comment on that as well?
Yeah, definitely, as Mr. Fahim said, some of the components of cybersecurity, or let's say responsibilities, we try to put it in a framework, usually at SHELT, which is identify, detect, respond, and recover and protect the organization. And they have different controls within. So every function of cybersecurity will have multiple controls. So some of the controls can be outsourced. Some of the controls will need to be in-house. But all depends on the clear strategy and building the roadmap as such. I'm gonna give you a small example as an analogy. Every bank used to stash cash and money was in hard currency somewhere in safes, and they were bringing outsourced companies to physically secure the facility. So physical security outsourcing with manning it with the right people that have the know-how on how to deal with situation is something, mundane. Nobody will create his own internal operation for physical security nowadays. That's why companies like, I'm not going to name them, but we know them very well in Kenya and globally, flourishing. So, because this is activity can be outsourced, let's say, and it is because, it has a certain prerequisite of expertise, and also it is because it's not the core competency or the core nature of the business to have it internally, it's outsourced. Similarly, by analogy, when it comes to digital protection, you have to have the security personnel that are always monitoring and making sure that they have the corrective and the right response actions set in place with the right methodology set in place to help you against a specific cyber attack or a cyber threat. So again, as Mr. Fahim said, there are areas where you need to insource, there are areas where you can outsource, and building a hybrid model, but it all depends on the methodology, and it all depends on the roadmap that you build for yourself. And again, we would like to always invite our customers to build their methodology and their roadmap based on known standards, on best practices, because they are being validated across the globe for many years with different organizations. So bringing in a company that understands these best practices and laying it the foundation for your roadmap is key to create an effective cybersecurity strategy. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And in closing, I think this is the question Mr. Fahim wanted to get into. It has to do with ethics and whether or not people should be held criminally liable for failing to take rational decisions when it comes to cybersecurity. Mr. Fahim, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is not a question which I want to answer, but maybe Basham can help me here, because this is a very key one. Like what are the key ethics or security laws in the areas of one. So I can answer maybe the earlier one. What is the response we can do? Basham, can you help me here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a broad question again, because it all depends on the nature of the attack. But if we want to divide it in steps, the first step is what we call the first incident responder. And the first incident responder, they need to have clear incident response plan and procedures. We call them playbooks to effectively respond to a certain incident. So usually playbooks are preset and written specifically corresponding to match a specific incident that is known in nature. That's easy. That's the easy part. We assign roles, what need to do, steps. The difficult ones are the unknown attacks, what we call zero-day attacks. So what will happen if I don't have neither the right processes nor the right tool to block such type of an attack? Let's say a virus that doesn't have a signature yet, so it's not going to be detected by any protection systems, whether antiviruses, anti-malwares, EDR even, etc. Because it doesn't have a signature, nobody knows what it is. We know we might have visibility that there's something fishy happening, there's something. So how do we respond to that? And that's where you come in and you have a contract with companies like us, like SHELT, to be able to determine with expert analysts on the front run with a limited response time, that to be able to really analyze your situation, create on ad hoc basis the first response procedures, and then move on what we call the incident response plan. So we need to the first step is what we call to cut the bleed. When somebody is bleeding heavily, you will not start by operating on the person. You will start by putting pressure on where the bleed or where the person is bleeding, and making sure to cut the bleed first. So the first thing is to cut the bleed, cut the attack, and then you move on to do sequentially other steps, which is getting the relevant, what we call artifacts and evidence, investigating the evidence, understanding the root cause analysis, and trying to, in the future, making sure that you have efficient mechanisms set in place in order for such incident not to happen again. So there is a process behind it. Definitely, please feel free to contact us if you want to know more and have a more detailed technical session on this.
Sure. Mr. Fahim, seeing that we've run out of time, can you answer the question in 30 seconds? How should we respond to hackers?
Yes, yeah. Great. It's a very good question. So I want all the participants please to write, the steps. So there are 6 steps behind this one. The number 1 is survey. Survey the damage. As some said, first of all, you need to survey the damage. Identify, the vulnerability. The second one is to limit the additional damage. As Basam said, the cut. You need to first filter the traffic, filter and isolate the system where it was, first the attack was done. So definitely the limit is the second step. Third is to record the extent of that, breach or that attack, and then identify the disruption, where the disruption was done. Find the effects. That is actually the key one. The fourth step is to engage with your law. What the law says, like for example, in some countries, like example in Kenya, or like example in Uganda, or for example in West Africa, the law says that you immediately need to inform, your government, your regulatory body. So how to inform, what not to inform, what to engage, and how to engage. That is actually the engaging part, and that should be steps taking, very well. It should be documented even before, the breach, not after the breach. The fifth step is to notify, to the parties who are affected. And in this case, maybe sometimes the government says that you have to notify, like for example, the legal bodies so that they can help you, or notify, to the third party provider who are actually part of that, or notify maybe to your customers, or notify maybe to your employees, or notify the person who, you have already breached, or you have not noted that to whom to be notified. Then the sixth step, which is the last step, is to learn, document the learning from what exactly happened, proactively take the steps for the future also, and then try to seal that breach for the future. I hope I answered. Thank you.
That's a very good answer, and you've really provided some valuable information there. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Fahim, as well as Bassam, for participating in this discussion. And that brings this session to a close. And I'd like to assure everyone that you will receive the recording of this webinar in due course. So look out for that in your inboxes. Thank you very much. Now we're just going to have a quick poll, and I'm just waiting for my colleague to put up the poll on the website. Yes, now you've got that poll on your screen. The first poll question is, my organization places emphasis on cybersecurity, true or false? And my organization cybersecurity annual budget is, and then you need to select an option there. The third question is, my organization has had a cybersecurity breach in the past 2 years, true or false? So I'd like to invite all the attendees to quickly choose the relevant options in the poll so we can announce the results. Please go ahead and take the poll. Okay. Thank you very much. And here we have the responses here. 80% to question 1, my organization places emphasis on cybersecurity. 80% of you said true. My organization's cybersecurity annual budget. 67% said none of the above. And question 3, my organization has had a cybersecurity breach in the past 2 years. 60% false, 40% true. Thank you very much. And in closing, I'd like to thank our partners, SHELT, for putting this together with us, and all the attendees for taking time out of your schedules to be here. And visit itnewsafrica.com for the latest technology news, and look out for upcoming events. And if you have any additional questions, reach out to SHELT. You will have access to their website, and we will send their contact details to you when we send the videos as well. Thank you and have a lovely day further. God bless.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.